Hello everyone and welcome back to another Man Who Can't Paint does painting updates on stuff he's painted anyway, because why not? And as per usual, yes, my dog is still delivering toys to my feet. The second I started talking, she knows the triggers. Anyway, today we're going to cover a little bit of Nemesis, a little bit of DC Universe. You might actually have heard her dropping that ball, she's getting impatient. The rest of the Suicide Squad with a little bit of extra thrown in for the Batman miniature game, and then a big old chunk of Fallout Wasteland Warfare, with the asterisk again that don't take it as an indication of what will definitely be in the second season. I'm getting through a backlog along with stuff that I plan to use, but I don't want to give too much away, so there's a mixture of things that will be used and stuff that I just wanted to do for, reasons. So with that, I'm going to do an immediate break in order to throw a ball, and then we'll get talking about this stuff. So let's talk about the single entry from Nemesis. Well, I said it was from Nemesis, but to be accurate, it's from Nemesis Lockdown, the expansion for the first version of the game. This is the CEO, and there has already been a video up with the CEO used. Kind of a Wayland and David parody, sort of. Obviously it doesn't look anything like David, but still, it's that kind of vibe. It's the CEO. He's mostly used for doing covert kind of company stuff. He's not really meant for solo cooperative play. Used him anyway though and did quite well. He's got a robot that punches aliens, which is pretty cool. As far as painting him goes, Athematic Blue was used for his, whatever you want to call what it is that he's wearing. I honestly have no idea. It's not quite a cape, it's not quite a jacket. It's somewhere in between futuristic clothes. Some wildwood for his stick, Gluman Flesh for his flesh tones, and his medical droid that's accompanying him is just Lead Belcher with a little bit of Calgar Blue and Known Oil over the top. Now the base topper used for him is actually from the base game for the Scientist, I think. Lockdown didn't come with any... Sorry, not Lockdown. Have I been calling it Lockdown? Lockdown is the sequel to Nemesis. They're from the expansion which is called Aftermath, I think. I can't remember now. The box is around here somewhere, but I can't see it. Either way, they don't come with the base toppers, so I used one from the base game that I hadn't used yet for the character it goes with. Lockdown, and I do mean Lockdown this time, it comes with base toppers for all its characters, so I don't know why the expansion characters didn't get them. It seems kind of bad, because it helps make them stand out. It's nice to have consistency that they all have them. I guess they are using colours that are already used, so maybe they just assumed you would swap them out, but would have hurt really to include a few extra ones. Either way, next you'll be seeing some Lockdown characters, and again I do mean Lockdown, because we're going to switch over to try that out, which I've never played a full game of yet, and it is more complicated than normal Nemesis, so I'm sure you know how that's going to go. So let's move on to two zombified members of the Justice League from the original Deceased box that Night Models released for the game, without revealing ahead of time that it's just skins as they call it, alternative models to use for existing characters, not actual characters in and of themselves. Prior to this had painted the Superman, and that was used in, well, at recording was the last time I played this game, but it's one of those every so often type things. So this is the Flash and Aquaman as zombies, so there's a lot of Blood for the Blood God used to have the blood splatters on them and the floor. Beyond that though, the Flash is Blood Angels Red, Yandin Yellow, and Aggressor Shade. The zombie skin tone is just the base coat of grey sear with the wash over the top, and then the blood texture paint. Not much to say. I do like how he's running and grabbing. It's pretty neat looking. And I just wanted to do them to finally get them out of the way. Also, you might hear the dog drinking water in the background. She aggressively drinks water. It's very loud and overbearing. And then Zombie Aquaman over here. It feels like he should have a surfboard with that pose. But that's Warp Lightning green, and a lot of Nazdrag yellow for his gold parts of his armour, Yandin yellow for his blonde hair, and again the skin tone is just the base coat with a wash over the top, Aggressor Shade. And Blood for the Blood God, splattered all over the place. They look pretty cool. They're all on the big bases, which is utterly unnecessary. Although you can tell that they are increasing the scale in general. Because actually, if they were on the smaller base with the way their legs are spread, they wouldn't fit well. But they're copying Crisis Protocol at this point, I feel. And I don't think that's a coincidence, but obviously I don't know. So with the completion of these two, and previously the Superman, there's just the zombie Wonder Woman left, who I have started. It's on the painting table at the moment. Not quite finished at time of recording. It'll be in the next update for sure though. So next we have the remainder of the Suicide Squad releases for the Batman miniature game. I talked about this last time, and the ones that I put off doing were the ones that haven't got official paint jobs. And I'm going to bend over and throw this ball mid-cut, because she actually dropped it next to my hand for a change. So I was putting off doing it hoping that they would update with official paint jobs, because I like trying to copy them as best I can. But they weren't updated, so instead I just went by as close to the movie as I could get using the colours I have available and the style I like. So let's start with Sebastian the Rat, because there's not much to talk about Sebastian because he's little. I'm not going to bother talking about the Starros on the bases, I've done that twice now. But for him I think it was just Wildwood. He's just waving hello, you know, as Sebastian does. As Blood Angel's contrast on whatever that is that he's got, like body armour. Looks like a turtle shell, kinda. And Vulpus pink for his tail. So he's just a little mascot. You can only bring him if you bring Ratcatcher 2. Oh, there's one of my dogs here, speaking of her. How on earth did they get on this table? I don't understand. Then we have the Harley Quinn, who, if you watch the unboxing of the Suicide Squad stuff, will know, well, you can kind of still tell, honestly. It came with a bent javelin. I tried my best to get it to realign because the way it connects is very, very awkward, because her hair has to come like under it at the back. Didn't quite get it looking right. Like, you can tell there's a gap if you look, but, you know, at a glance it's not so bad. Again, more Blood Angels red for her dress with non-oil over the top. Gulliman flesh, Yandan yellow for her hair. That's just normal gold paint because I didn't like how the Nasdaq looked, although in hindsight it's probably not the right shade of gold, but what can you do? And the base done in the exact same way. Oh yeah, the coloured strands of her hair, that is Talistar blue and that's Vulpus pink on that one there. Quite a fun version of Harley. The dress is fun as well, and obviously very in keeping with what she wears in the movie. Then, for the ones on the smaller base size, we have TDK, who I think probably turned out the best of the Suicide Squad models that I did. Isn't it always the way that like this quasi-nameless nobody is always the one that turns out looking best? But yeah, he did. I feel like he did. So this is Militarum green contrast paint, with a little bit of regular yellow paint to try and pick out the details. Non-oil over the top and Gulliman flesh for his skin tones. Sadly, no way to demonstrate his cut-offable hands or removable hands unless you literally cut them off, but that would just look weird. So, you know. But yeah, he was pretty fun. And as I say, I think of the Suicide Squad stuff, he turned out the best for me. He is very useful in the game. He wasn't useful in the movie, but in the game he can detach his hands and reach a suspect marker that's I think 8 inches away. That's a big threat radius for revealing and placing markers. So in game terms, he's probably one of the most useful. So then we have the two on the big bases of these lot. We have Ratcatcher 2 and Bloodsport. Let's cover Ratcatcher 2 first because I tried to do something fancy with her. I don't really know if it worked because she is in the process of using her rat taming device because the rats are obviously all scurrying around and obeying her on her base. They're all done with Basilicanum Grey. So I decided after I did Wildwood for her clothing with a little bit of grey and black mixed in, I thought, that's a bit boring looking. I'm going to try and make it look like she's in the process of using her beacon. So a mixture of Talistar blue contrast, Calgar blue, regular paint, trying to do a little bit of dry brushing, edge highlighting, just to look like she's using it. So I'm trying to cast the shadow where it would be cast. It sort of worked. Sort of. Within my limited ability, I feel like I got the effect I was looking for. It makes her stand out a little bit more as well. So yeah, I thought it turned out okay. And then we have Bloodsport, who's kind of like the boss of the Suicide Squad releases. If you use just the base box itself, he is the leader. And I wasn't sure what to do for him. I remember talking about his armour. I took some inspiration from a friend and some that I found painted online. And obviously just the official paint job as well for Idris Elba and his armour. So what I settled on was Ultramarines blue for the core of the armour, picked out sections of it in black, like for instance the middle of his chest there, and some other bits, and then used Gehenna Gold, I think it's called. Didn't use the other regular gold paint from Citadel because I didn't feel like it was the right shade. This is the same shade I used for the javelin, pardon me, the javelin that Harley is wearing, but it works much better here as a contrast between the blue and the gold, I feel. And is very close to how it looked in the movie. Tried to pick out what is that colour in the movie. I looked up a bunch of references, like stills from the movie. Did okay with it, I think, and I am actually happy with how he turned out. At a glance you should know who this is if you've seen the movie, and I feel like that's what you have to strive for really with this. Fireslayer for his flesh tone, with the Black Templar for his hair, mustache, etc. Actually, the face didn't turn out too badly. I wouldn't say it looks exactly like Idris Elba, but in terms of like picking out the mustache and the beard, I think it worked out okay. I got kind of lucky when a face turns out good when you're using contrast paints and whatnot. So yeah, I'm happy with how he turned out, and that is the Suicide Squad releases done. So speaking of there being no official paint jobs, there is no official paint job yet for Ace the Bat Hound, or indeed Viking Batman. I'm still putting off Viking Batman until I see like either an official paint job or get inspiration from someone else's paint job. I'm just not sure what I want to do with it. But I figured, hey, why not paint Ace the Bat Hound? And this is the references I looked up were the version I believe they based this model on, because the newer iterations of Ace, he's like a German Shepherd, and he and Titus, which is a what breed of dog is Titus? I've forgotten. Nope, I'm blanking on the name of it. Either way, they're not this, but this looks more like how he looks in like some of the cartoons. I found a reference that was basically this pose, and he looked like this, so like, okay, I'll paint him like that. So he's got grey skin, but for whatever reason he has a flesh tone face. He is wearing a cowl, so he is wearing a mask that goes under his collar, which looks like a utility belt, into the cape. I wouldn't say it turned out great, but I am matching the colours of what they based this model on, and he's a nice, he's going to be a nice fun addition to some Bat Family crews. He can be used in like Batman teams anyway. And the base I think was just grey, Basilicanum grey with Agrax over the top. Not super great. Would have preferred a German Shepherd. That would have been fun to try and draw, especially with paint with his silly mask. Like if you haven't seen the picture of the German Shepherd with the mask on, it's on his like wiki page. Go look at it. It's very funny. But yeah, that's done. Viking Batman, I make no guarantees you'll see anytime soon. It depends on if I get brave enough to try something myself or find a reference I'm happy with. So then we have, to end on, the eclectic mix of miniatures for Fallout Wasteland Warfare, complete with more of my dog's hairs. She's finished shedding, but the hairs just keep on resurging no matter how much I clean. Anyway, so we have 3 Brotherhood of Steel miniatures. We've got the Survivors, we've got a Super Mutant, we've got the Mechanist, all over the place with this. These are just things I felt like painting, and a lot of them are actually from the 2017-2018 range, which is the ones that don't sit well with contrast. I was very persistent with base coating and didn't have much issues. Basically they're double, triple based in some cases. If you remember the last time I talked about a Super Mutant Suicider, it was one of the worst experiences with contrast I've had, where the paint just would not pull no matter what I did. This was also bad, but I made sure to double, triple base it, so it's lost some detail as a result, but the paint hasn't, well, it's kind of separated a little bit there, but it's not nearly as bad as that first effort I did on one of these Suiciders. So this is Militarum Green, and if you remember last time when I tried to use Militarum Green, it just kept on pulling and dragging away and having splotches, so I just ended up using regular paint over the top, and it made it a weird, horrible, disgusting mixed colour. In this case though, it's just Militarum Green with the flesh tone on top, and also used for the mini nuke he's holding, some lead belcher silver for the chains, the lamppost he's running past, and copious amounts of agar silver shade to try and cover any of the areas where it's not pulling correctly. But yeah, much less stressful than the first time trying to paint one of them. Still annoying, but not as annoying. Then we have, I think he's just classed as a squire for the, I was going to say for Rock and Stone. I was blanking on Brotherhood of Steel. I wanted to say Deep Rock Galactic, and that doesn't work. So for him, he's just wearing a lot of Basilicanum grey armour with Flesh Tear red for his jersey underneath, Blood Angels red for the toolbox he's next to, and a lot of lead belcher silver with a bit of Militarum green on his laser pistol. He's holding a pair of pliers, incidentally. I wasn't sure what he was holding at first, but it is a pair of pliers. And he goes with 2 knights in their T60 power armor, and this is what I was going to talk about in terms of like basing. Also weird, they're from the same box, but one is a 2018 sculpt and one is a 2017 sculpt. Very strange. And he was a 2018 as well. Very strange. So what I did for these two, we'll just show them off at the same time because I did the same thing. Base coat in Grey Seer, base coat in Grey Seer again, base coat in Leadbelcher Silver, so technically a third base coat, and then worked on that from there. Did a little bit of a wash with Space Wolves Grey, and then a Accurate Surf Shade, and then a little bit of brightening back up the edges with some edge highlighting with Leadbelcher again, and a little bit of red around the arm there, just to show that it's Brotherhood of Steel. Military Arm Green for their laser guns, and the base is done in a similar fashion. So this is how I went in a little bit of plate bear flesh for the glowing eye lenses. Doesn't really stand out that much, but did use them. And this one, done exactly the same way. I kind of like this pose better, it's more iconic. He's just standing, taking shots. He's standing on like a car door thing, and he's also shooting his laser gun. But yeah, painted in the exact same way for him, and adding some more power armor that can appear on the table. It doesn't need to be a Brotherhood of Steel, I guess. It could be like a stolen bit of power armor if need be. You can use it for that kind of stand-in thing. And then from the Survivor starter box, just because I haven't done anything from that box for a while, I'll just paint up one of the other different Survivor sculpts, because some of the ones that come in that box are the same Survivor sculpts that come in the starter box, as in the generic starter box, not a faction starter box. But it also comes with a couple of unique sculpts, so I was like, I should probably paint those up to have some options. And I might, haven't decided yet, might use this to represent the free tech, keeping the same stats, but just giving him a model that has clothes. So he's not running around in a loincloth and a belt. I don't know, I haven't decided yet. Warp Lightning for his scarf, Plate Bear Flesh for his shirt, Space Wolves Grey for his jeans, and I think I used normal brown for his trousers because I didn't like how the Wildwood looked. Yeah, that doesn't look like contrast to me, so I think that's what I did. Guilliman Flesh for his skin tone. And then to end on, super simple, the Mechanist, because there isn't much to talk about when it's just something that's largely silver. So that's a bunch of Leadbelcher Silver with Basilicanum Grey for his jeans, parts between his wrist and his shoulder blade. And I think that's it, honestly. Agrat Surf Shade over the top, and then I picked out some more detail again with silver straight on top on the edges. And that's about it. And he's standing on metal, which I applied a little bit of Army Painter Rust to, which I think turned out okay. And that is it. So now he might be have a cameo in the series. I haven't decided yet. Again, don't take it as canon that he'll definitely appear just because I painted him up, but it is nice to have that option to maybe do like an arc involving robots in some fashion, and having someone wearing the Mechanist armor being there. Again, haven't decided. I am going to try and aim for Season 2 to start at the end of June or start of July. That's the kind of time frame I'm giving myself. We'll see if it actually happens. So that is going to do it for another Getting Stuff Painted. As always, you can show me what you've been painting on Twitter. You can find the link below. As I see another one of my dogs here. How are they here? It makes no sense. She doesn't climb on the tables. Anyway, as I was saying, you can show me on Twitter what you've been painting, even if it's a game I don't cover. I don't mind. I just like seeing painted minis, and I hope this inspires you to get your stuff painted. It doesn't matter how good you are at it. If you enjoy it, do it. Next time, as I mentioned earlier, Zombie Wonder Woman will definitely be done, because it's like 80% done at the time of me saying this. I'm doing some scatter terrain. I got some camping scatter terrain from TT Combat for Don't Look Back, and just any kind of wood setting. I think it will just add a little bit of flavour. Like, scatter terrain is just little bits and pieces, but it helps add to the mood and flavour of your tables, and it's not that hard to paint up something that small. But yeah, there'll be some of that for sure. I've already done some of the set, but I wanted to complete the set before showing it off, so that will be there for sure. I have a couple of Nemesis lockdown characters to show off, which you'll probably end up seeing in a video of the game before I talk about it in one of these, but hey. And some more Fall Wasteland Warfare, I think. Got to start working through stuff. So yeah, I think that's going to cover what we'll see next time. As always, there may be surprises. Sometimes you just get a whim and follow through on it. Anyway, thank you very much for watching these. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in roughly 2 weeks for another painting update. Until then, ta-ta for now.